this week's chapter of One Piece. Wow! Hey guys, Pete the Great, and today, as I just said, we'll be talking about One Piece, chapter 893. This chapter is all about Luffy and Katakuri, especially Katakuri, but boy, oh boy, was it time for us to get a full chapter dedicated, fully dedicated to the Luffy and Katakuri fight. People's been saying, oh my god, this fight is dragging, this fight is dragging, this fight is dragging. Not anymore, fellas. Yo, okay. So, the chapter starts off, well, okay, fuck the cover page, because it's basically the same as last week, but from another angle. So, yeah, Tontada's, their ship, they give it a name, I think it's the God Usopp or something like that. Or the Uso Land, or whatever. We start off this week's chapter with Katakuri wondering, how the fuck did I hit you with that attack? And Luffy's wobbly. Boy, Luffy looked like he was in deep trouble. He is fatally wounded, as stated by Katakuri. So, my theory last week about how Flampe, well, my theory, come on, everyone thought about it, but how Flampe actually was the one to do something to Luffy turned out to be right. But it was kind of obvious, but turned out to be right. Because we see that she's all laughing, and then, you know, he's standing up again, and then she's like, oh, maybe I should hit him once more. And then, well, Luffy actually dodges it, and we get a little flashback of Rayleigh saying to Luffy, behind this imagination is observation haki. Try and unlock it unconsciously. And we see that Luffy's basically unconscious, so who knows, did he just fall or did he actually dodge it unconsciously? So, but I digress. There's, first of all, there is, well, this new attack that Katakuri does, that's named, I think, is the Ginshaku, which is basically Gatling, but like, it really feels like a gang up, you know, because like they're from everywhere, just like pop, 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 and Luffy's just taking that, and he's really hurt. Like you can see, Luffy can barely stand, and like Katakuri is actually annoyed with this. He's like, "Are you saying this is how you're gonna be defeated after such a good fight? That's how you're gonna go down?" And you see, he's mad. He's like, "How could you let your guard down at that moment? How could you lose your focus?" And people are like, wait a second, why does Katakuri seem so mad? And a lot of people actually don't like that. They were like, yo, you should just kill him, bro, fuck him, whatever, he was a good fight, but, you know, you still gotta win, you still gotta protect your family, so just kill him. While I understand that point of view, I personally think that what Katakuri did this week just showed, like, gave his character more depth, more flesh. And I'll probably explain that in another video, but, so I'll save that for later. But then we see that actually, well, Katakuri sees that it's Flambe who used her silent blowgun and attacked him. So then he gets really upset. He goes up to her, and as she thinks that she's about to get a hug from him, she goes towards him, and like she got caught because she was laughing at Luffy, and that's how Katakuri knew. And then she goes, yeah, Katakuri, yeah, you're gonna you're gonna hug me, you're gonna be like, congratulations, yeah, I'm your best little sister, nah, nah, nah. And then she gets blood spilled on her face, and you're like, what? And you turn the page, or you just scroll down on your phone, and you see Katakuri just went like full on Kumadori, like Tekkai Gold, you know, he just went like, he just seppuku'd himself with a trident, and you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. And he tells to Flambe, don't interrupt this man fight, and he rips off his mask and reveals his face, and like, then we see that she actually flips sides. she just goes like, "Yo, Katakuri, you can't be Katakuri, man. You look butt ugly. Like, you look like, I think it's an eel or something." And they all laugh at him and are like, "Yeah, you can't be Katakuri, man." And then her fan club are like, "Yo, stop it, or we won't be able to hold our laughter in." And they start laughing. She actually spits at Katakuri's face. Then we get a flashback of how Katakuri his whole life had been called an eel or whatever it is, the animal that he's been called. And then, like, at first I was like, why'd you rip it off? Like, you just made such a huge thing about not showing your face. But then I kind of got it afterwards when I thought about it. It's like, I think he did that because that shows that he's fed up with the antics. He's fed up with, like, hiding who he really is. He's fed up with doing the best to save the family's face. Because I'm sorry, but if it were not for Katakuri, this crew would be severely lacking in any kind of decency. So I think he was just fed up with, like, fake fronts and all that, and he just said, you know what, like, I'm done with this. And what better moment to say that I'm done with this when he's actually, like, for the first time totally invested in a fight. He probably forgot all about his duties. Like, he's so zoned in this fight, like, he doesn't care about his duties. But as I said earlier, I'll save that for another video. So, well, she spits at him, and basically she just doesn't fuck with Katakuri anymore. So Katakuri goes back to the fight, and then he says, like, I'm sorry you had to deal with this. And then Luffy goes on to say something that kind of, you know, to the eyes of those that didn't like what Katakuri did, should kind of, you know, be like a bit of like a consolation prize. Luffy's not like, yeah, man, I would have been able to beat you if it wasn't for her. He's like, nah, in this kind of fight, cheap shots happen, and it's my fault for not being able to dodge it. So you see that Luffy is actually conscious of the fact that if he was actually trained, that attack would never have hit him. Kind of like Whitebeard. You know, people are all like, yo, you've trained your whole life, how could you get hit by Squardo? Which means that at some point Luffy shouldn't be hit by that kind of weak ass attack. But I digress once again. So basically in this week's chapter, well, we see that Luffy grows. Okay, we see Luffy actually got hit. We see Katakuri be so invested in the fight that he's sort of forgetting his duties. And then they both go on to say, like, oh, they're really laughing at you and everything, but they won't be able to handle what's next. Now, some people may think that, since I think Katakuri started the sentence and then Luffy ended it, some people may think that it was all Katakuri seeing the future. But I personally think that they both saw Flampe and her subordinates fall unconscious, and we had a clash of Conqueror's Haki. They both throw a punch, or I think it was a punch and a kick, I'm not too sure, and pop, the fist and foot collide. Lightning everywhere. Well, that black lightning that's really present only in Conqueror's Haki clashes. And then we see that the actual surroundings are getting cracked, kind of like how Shanks when he went on that ship. So, you know, maybe that's growth again. Maybe it's not only his observation Haki that bloomed, maybe his Conquerors did too. And then Flampe is like, oh my god, that monkey can use Conqueror's Haki too. And she falls out and she faints, which really means that she is trash. There is no way to cut it other than Flampe is trash. And then, basically, to end off the chapter, we have Katakuri squaring up, about to go in the full-on fisticuff fight, kind of like Zephyr and Luffy in film Z. But he says one of the lines that I love the most about this chapter. He says, I no longer think of you as beneath me, or something along those lines. He says, like, I don't think of you as under my level anymore. And Luffy says, thanks. But in pure Luffy fashion, he says, thanks, but I'm still gonna beat your ass. So, Luffy ended it the perfect way. Katakuri actually acknowledging Luffy is a big step, okay? Because if Katakuri acknowledges him, not like, you know, not like Zoro Mihawk kind of acknowledgement, you know, where like Mihawk was like, yeah, you weak, but you have potential. In this case, it's not about being weak. He said, you're not under my level. Let's fight it. Let's duke it out. And they've been fighting. So he probably respects Luffy. He probably thinks Luffy's at his level. He probably thinks that he could lose at this point. Last week he said something about like, if there's even the slightest chance that he could reach my level, and he'd straight up charge at Luffy and freaking stabbed him. But this week he's like, he's further like implying that there's a possibility by saying, I no longer think of you under my level. Now there could be two ways to interpret that. Either he's saying that and he's just gonna beat the fuck out of Luffy in the next few chapters, which I doubt, or they're gonna have a really intense, really like full of blows and like an exchange of blows that it's gonna be so passionate, and just one of them is gonna fall. The other one's probably gonna fall too. I think personally that Luffy will miss his rendezvous point, or maybe he won't miss it, but like he'll be so weak that he'll need to be saved, because on top of that, we know that after this deep ass fight, if Luffy comes out, there's a lot of people surrounding the island. So I mean, there's a lot of things that could go Luffy or Katakuri's way. And yeah, so that's pretty much it for my chapter review. Don't forget to leave a like or comment what you think of, what you thought of this chapter, what you think will happen forward, and always don't forget to subscribe if you want more One Piece and Kingdom related content. You know, I might branch out and do other things, but for the moment, it's mostly those two. So yeah, Pete the Great signing out.